Hello, I'm Mr. North and I'm in charge of the options process here at Baysgarth. If you're watching this video now, hopefully it means that you've received a letter saying that your son or daughter is a Pathway B student. And if you're in Year 8, you'll certainly recognise me because I've been around speaking to you all in your lessons and in forums recently. The purpose of this presentation is just to introduce you to the options process, talk you through the timeline, tell you about the combinations of subjects that you're allowed to pick being a Pathway B student and the different sources of advice that you're able to access, as well as talking you through the online options form as well. So why take options or start the options process in Year 8 rather than in Year 9 like some other schools do? For us, it's an easy decision because nationally behaviour data in Year 9 is at its worst. Students switch off from their Key Stage 3 lessons because they know that they're not going to be studying this subject at GCSE. So they start to drift, attitudes start to slip, whereas bringing the options process forward into Year 8, so students start the GCSE subject in Year 9, actually means that in Baysgarth, if you walk around Year 9 lessons, what you see is focused, hard-working students, students that are engaged because they're doing what they want to do and they know every lesson counts towards their final grade. So that was a decision that we made. There's also the issue of the government changing the content of these exams, so it's far harder now. There's much more things to remember. So we thought actually moving it forward, allowing students that little bit of extra time to concentrate on their learning and to be able to go over it at the end is absolutely crucial. And we're always in the top 5% nationally in terms of performance, and we're hoping that we can push on from that, go from the top 4% in our last set of results in 2019, hopefully make it into that top 1% one day. That's our aspiration, and we think that moving options or having options process in Year 8 is something that can really support that, making our students have some of the best grades around. A few years ago now, the grading system changed from the old A star to G method to the new 1 to 9 system. For some parents, this might be new to you and you might not be familiar with it. For parents that have already had students that have gone through this in Year 11, it'll be a bit more something that you're a bit more comfortable with. But I'll just run through some of the anchor points that are useful. And what I mean by an anchor point is a grade 7 is exactly the same as the old grade A. There's not many of these, but that's one point where it's exactly the same. And the government, when they changed the system, they promised the same proportion of students would get an A or better as will get a 7 or better. So it's anchored into previous year's performance. Now the current pandemic and teachers having to do centre assessed grades and teacher predicted grades has kind of thrown that out the window a little bit, but that's what it was intended to do. So currently people are getting slightly higher grades, so they're inflated because teacher predictions, and what the government decides to do in the future, by the time your son or daughter's year group gets to Year 11, is to be decided. But that was the theory behind it at the time. And another anchor point is the grade 4 is anchored to a grade C, which used to be a good pass a few years ago. So that's all I'm going to say on that. As the DfE releases more information, the Department for Education releases more information as it gets closer to your son or daughter's year group sitting exams, I'll be in touch to explain if there's been any changes. This video should be available to you from the Monday the 22nd of March. So therefore students will have already taken place in the options fair, which was Friday, which involves students walking around the different subjects collecting information. After this options process, or after the options fair, they had the chance to pick 4 taster sessions, and those sessions will be happening on Wednesday this week. The taster sessions are designed to be just sample lessons, so for students to have a go at, and in lessons that they've not really had much experience in. So it might be lessons such as media studies, health and social care, business studies, childcare. So lessons that they couldn't normally experience in Year 7 and Year 8. We hope that this allows them to make an informed choice with yourself at home before the Sunday the 18th deadline for the options process. However, this deadline isn't enough. It's a guide. We'd like it to be in by then, but students can change their mind after this process, and we're really relaxed about that. All they need to do is contact me and let me know that they've changed their mind for whatever reason, and I'll be happy to accommodate that. I appreciate it's a difficult process, and we often change our minds, don't we? So we're absolutely willing for people to do that all the way up to Christmas in Year 9, I would say. So even if students have been doing a subject for a couple of months, if they decide it's not for them, it's not a big problem. Because we start in the subjects earlier, it does allow for greater flexibility. Then after that, you will get, week commencing the 3rd of May, you will get confirmation of your child's final option choices. But in the run up to that, and I'll talk about this a little bit more later on, if there's been any problems and your child can't get some of their choices, which does happen to roughly 5% of people that pick their options, there's maybe one option that they won't be able to do for whatever reason, then we'll be in touch and we'll talk to you about the different options you've got available at that point. And final options will be confirmed towards the end of May. But like I said, if students decide at any point after that they want to change their options, they are more than welcome to do so. So you are a Pathway B student or the parent of a Pathway B student. So there's very little difference between our pathways, to be honest. The big difference that you need to be aware of is, and it's based around science. So Pathway A is our triple science pathway. What this involves is 7 hours a week of science, and when it gets to the end of the course, 6 exams that are an hour and 45 minutes long. And what we do is we pick 50 scientists we think can most handle the demands for that course. Now obviously it's very difficult, very challenging, so it's not for everybody. If we put everybody on that course, there'd be people that would be overwhelmed, and that 7 hours a week of science would be too much, for them to cope with or for them to enjoy. So what we do instead is we offer 2 pathways, and Pathway B is a double science pathway, and this is 4 hours a week of science and 6 exams, but they're only an hour and 15 minutes long. So there's a big difference in the amount of content that people have to remember. So we find that this works well, having those 2 separate choices. And what it means for Pathway B students is you get 1 extra option choice, because triple science takes up 1 of your 4 picks. So for Pathway B students, science doesn't take up 1 of your choices. It's just there automatically. You've still got 4 choices. And I'll talk to you over the next few slides about how that works and the different combinations that you need. Just wanted to talk to you briefly about the English Baccalaureate Award, or the Ebac as it's more commonly referred to. What this involves is it's something the government created almost to judge schools on how many students they're putting through the most difficult subjects. So if we put a student through English, Maths and 2 sciences, which we do anyway, and a modern foreign language and the humanities subject, so either history or geography, then it means our students would get the Ebac award if they achieved certain grades. However, what that means in reality is students are left with some really difficult choices, because it may mean that students only get 1 option choice. And if you've got a passion for the arts, or you've got a real clear career focus, and you know which combination of subjects you want, and it doesn't involve the subjects that I've just read out, then this Ebac award is no good for you, is it? It's going to be something that makes you unhappy if you're forced to do subjects that you don't want to do. And for that reason, we don't force our students down this route. Some schools do. They don't give students their choice, but that's not in fitting with the Baysgarth ethos. Well-being is absolutely central to our students and our staff, and we want students to be happy at school doing the subjects they want to do, that they feel leads to a career of their choice. Now, we certainly, encourage our students to take these subjects, because they are, it is aspirational to do the most difficult subjects. But if they don't want to, we don't make anybody do anything they don't want to do. So as parents, it's just so you're aware, this is the Ebac award. There is no certificate for it. If students get it, it's mainly the government's rationale is that employers will be more impressed if students do these subjects, as will universities. However, students with an absolute mix of grades from Baysgarth, from different courses, always get to their preferred destination. So it doesn't matter if you still get your really high grades in English, Maths and Science, the compulsory subjects, you're still getting into any college around here. That's a guarantee. All right, so how you fit the subjects is up to the students, up to parents, you to have that conversation as well. But I just wanted to make you aware of what the Ebac award is and why the government introduced it, and our thoughts and feelings on it here at Baysgarth. So when it comes to the options process, not every subject is optional. GCS English, Maths, double science and an hour a week of PE, they are compulsory. So I'm afraid if students think that the options process means you can drop any of those subjects, that is not the case, I'm afraid. What it means, you do get more choices when it comes to the rest of it. So if we talk about the Ebac award, the government would like you to pick either geography or history and pick a language. However, that isn't compulsory to do so, which would leave you with 2 free option choices. All right, so you don't have to pick all of those in that combination. However, the government would like you to do so. But what you do actually have to do is pick one of those subjects in that second bucket, the Ebac bucket. That is compulsory. So every student on Pathway B has to pick either geography, history, or a language. Now, we don't insist you pick all of them, but you have to pick one of those. That is a compulsory choice. And that is pretty much, if you're on Pathway B, that is your only compulsory choice that you have to make. So that's possibly the first decision that you can start thinking about in your head. Is it going to be geography? Is it going to be history? Or am I going to pick French or German? It only has to be one of those 4 subjects. And once you've picked one of those 4 subjects from history, geography, French or German, what that actually means for Pathway B students is that you are left with 3 further option choices from an open choice. And that's very similar to what happens for Pathway A students, which, I mean, there's not much difference between the pathways here at Baysgarth. So yeah, every student gets 3 open option choices. And we can see on the in a couple of slides what those option choices are. All right, so this just clarifies what your option choices are in Pathway B. You need to pick English and maths will automatically be picked, as will double science, but then it's just that history, geography, or a language subject. Which one do you want to do and carry on with? And then your hour in PE. So here is the list of students, or here's the list of subjects for you. And here's the recommended pathway from the government, but it's not the compulsory pathway. So if you wanted the Ebac subject, then pick history or geography from that list, then move on to picking German or French from that list, and then you have 2 more choices. Now, if you want to, you can pick geography, history, German, and French, because you have 4 picks. By all means, you can do that. That would be 4 very difficult subjects, so you'd have to be aware of that and the challenges that would involve, as well as there being no coursework in any other subjects at all. So you can't get anything done and out the way over the course of year 9, 10, and 11 before your final exams. But if that's not for you, then you can go down this instead. All right, so once you picked your one subject from your history, your geography, your French, or your German, you then get 3 choices from this list. Now, I'm incredibly proud of Baysgarth and our options process because we offer a wider range of choices than just about any school that I know of in a local area. We believe in giving students that wide choice to support careers and to give students the freedom to express themselves in the subjects that they choose. Far too often I hear about students just maybe getting one option choice when they're at school, which must put them in a really, really difficult position and must close quite a lot of doors to students quite early on. So we want to do the opposite. We want to give students as much choice as they possibly can to ensure that they're happy. And part of our options process is, because there's some new subjects on there, you know, statistics students won't have seen before. They won't be aware of what it is. Photography, media, health and social care, hair and beauty, graphics. What else have we got there that's brand new to the students? Business, for example. So these student and childcare, so all these subjects will be involved in the taster session, so students can have a look, see what they think, and then they can make a decision when it comes to their final option choices of what they would like to choose. And just a reminder that once students pick their options, that's not set in stone. They are allowed to change it if they wish. Coming to the right decision is an important thing then, but it's not crucial because I did say you can move around and swap, so you are allowed to make a few mistakes with your choices and change them. However, if you do your research at the beginning, it'll reduce the need to do that. So speak to other people. The best people I would say to speak to are students in years 9, 10 and 11 that have already been doing these option subjects, because then you'll get a really honest viewpoint about what that subject's like. Also speak to older siblings if you've got any, teachers, have a look at the options website that we've set up for you, the options books and the information leaflets that you got, as well as what you enjoy from your taster sessions. All of this will put you in a really strong position to then have discussions with your parents, with tutors, and with your teachers as well, to hopefully get you to choices that you're happy with. So some important points then. Not every course will run, because we offer such a wide range of choices and we've only got 180 students in year 8, not every course will get enough students to make it popular enough to run. Now, last year every course ran that we offered, but that's not always going to be the case. So anything less than 15, now this isn't a hard and fast number, but you know, that sort of number or less than that would mean it's not financially viable for the course to run, because the school doesn't have unlimited pots of money, so we need to be careful with how we spend it. So we would then have to tell those students that pick that one, we'd have to go to their reserve choice and have conversations with you as parents and with the students to make sure that they're happy with their next choice. Now that's not an ideal situation, but we would rather be upfront and tell you this and offer a wide range of subjects in the hope that enough people pick them. Last year that situation happened where everything was able to run, and that's what I would hope would happen again this year, but there is no guarantee. So parents just need to be aware of that. There's also another scenario where if subjects that are less popular, maybe only have one group, we have 4 option blocks that all of the subjects have to sit in. And if 2 of those subjects are put in the same block that only have one group, and students pick both of those subjects, they will have to choose between those subjects because they can't physically be in 2 places at once. Now, any students where that happens, we will speak to those students as well, and we've got a clever computer system that automatically figures out how to block the groups to reduce the amount of incidences where that happens. So we do everything we can to reduce the likelihood of that happening, but it still does occur. Again, so we will be in touch. Just a few other things to be aware of. I have said this, but just to clarify, you can choose the second humanities subject if you want, so you can do history and geography, and you can do both languages as well. There is no restrictions there. However, there are restrictions on art and graphics. You can only do one of those 2 subjects. The government have decided that they're too similar, so they don't want students doing both of those. And likewise with performing arts drama and performing arts dance, they are similar courses, therefore students can only do one of the 2. After Wednesday, when students have had a go at their taster sessions, this form will be available online for parents to complete and put in the options choices. Now the deadline for this isn't until the last day of the Easter holidays, but some parents know straight away with their students what options they're going to choose, so you can get started from the very first day it's available if you wish. And it's pretty straightforward. The students have already logged into this, they're aware, they've gone through it in their IT lessons, and they're just getting using their email and their password. And what they'll be presented with is a list of different subjects, and it'll be tailored towards your pathway. So the first choice you will have to make is a compulsory pick between history, geography, French or German because you're on pathway B, and then after that you'll be able to pick your other subjects from the long list of subjects that we offer, and you'll also be asked to pick a couple of reserve choices as well. And this is what it would look like at the end. So you'd have your choices in order of preference, and the reason that order of preference is important is if you have any clashes, then we'll know which subjects you would rather do. We'll always have the conversations with you as well, just to double check, but it's just something to help us get our head round how the options process is going to work when we do have those clashes, and enable us to come up with some solutions as well. And you'll also have a reserve list in a preference order, just so that when it does happen, we have a clue as to which subjects we think you would like to use. So what happens next then from this point is we will take great care to match students' choices with the combinations that we put in the option blocks. We'll do our absolute best to make that happen. But as I've said, it's not always possible to do that, but we will get as close to your child's highest preference as possible. We were way over 90% last year in terms of people getting their absolute first choices. So it's only a very small number of students that we have to speak to each year when things don't run. But we do that, and we'll always have a phone call with you as parents at home and make sure that everybody's happy. And the fact that our option choices are so broad means that hopefully students will be happy with the offer that we provide. If you do have any questions about the options process as a whole, please get in contact with me, and I'll be happy to have a conversation with you over the telephone or over email, whatever is convenient for you. And something that I've not mentioned is actually the pathways that students are placed on. If a student is not happy about being on pathway B because you think, I love science, I want to do triple science, then we will not stop you from doing that. We will support that. We just, the reason we do it is just to make students aware of the difficulties of pathway A, and the science team pick the students that they think will be most likely to cope. However, they're not perfect. They may have missed people out that could actually have handled it, or someone that's got a real passion for science, then we'll happily move them across. And likewise, students on pathway A opt to move to pathway B because they decide 7 hours of science is too much, 4 hours of science will be just about right for me, and they'd rather have the extra option pick. So nothing's set in stone with the options process and the pathways. It's just us trying to give parents a guide and students a guide as to where we think you're best suited. But please get in contact if you've got any queries on that. So the slide on the screen then is the Year 9 Gateway curriculum. You may or may not have heard about this yet, but it's something that we've done this year really successfully, and we've changed our Year 9 curriculum. So rather than students, when they start in Year 9, getting started straight away on GCSE content, we pause until Christmas. We do something different, because we're really confident that across Year 7 and Year 8, we've completely covered the national curriculum. So before we start the GCSE content, we want to give our teachers the opportunity to do something special. And that is to actually come up with a curriculum for their particular subject that really engages the learners. So it's the best of their subject. It's not necessarily the stuff that's on the GCSE content, but for them it's the most interesting subject matter. Things that are going to bring the subject to life, inspire students, get them interested, might be the best ideas, the best businesses, anything that's going to ignite the interest of those students, we allow staff to teach. And it's been really successful this year. It involves students actually putting together a project at the end, and there's been some fantastic work. It was slightly disrupted by the lockdown at the end, but still the feedback from the students has been overwhelmingly positive, and it's something we're going to build on in the future as well. And part of that, which we weren't able to do this year, involves getting students out more, on more trips early on in Year 9, getting to see the best of what goes out there in the world, seeing the best businesses in each different subject area, like getting engineering trips out, design technology, art trips, business trips. We can't wait to get going with this moving at 100%, whereas the most recent Year 9s to have gone through, obviously we were heavily restricted. So fingers crossed September allows the Gateway curriculum to run full steam ahead, because we think this is something that we're really excited about and is going to be absolutely brilliant for our students. So just to go over some of the main reasons why we've done it then. We think that it increases the breadth of curriculum beyond the limitations of the national curriculum and the GCSE specifications, because it really opens it up to staff to teach the bits that they think are genuinely the most important bits in their subject. And it allows students to experience the subject as well before they actually start the GCSE content, which is why we're really relaxed about students moving subjects all the way up to Christmas, because we know from January in Year 9, that's when the GCSE content starts, that students are going to be assessed against in exams. So if students move before that point, they're not having to catch up on any GCSE work. It also develops learning skills, and what we've done is we've linked the way it's assessed is against 10 key employability skills, and we've spoke to businesses and we've listened, and the things that they're most interested in, the ability for students to work together as a team, to communicate, to show independence. We assess these skills directly, we feed back to our students, and we make sure that they can improve these skills. So it's not just students leave Bearsgarth with brilliant results. That is a fact, and we've got the track record of that over the last 5 years. But what we want to do is make sure that they leave with those employability skills as well. So not only are they academically strong, they're also ready to start work and add value to any company that they work at. And we're really confident this is going to be the vehicle, the Year 9 Gateway curriculum, to improve our students' life chances and really get them excited and engaged about subjects early on in their school career. Now, I couldn't let the opportunity pass to tell you a little bit about what business studies is, because I am in charge of the business studies department here at Bearsgarth with Mr. Roberts, who's another assistant head teacher. We've both been here for 6 years now, and we're both really proud of what's happened in business studies. When we first came, there was only 17 students doing business studies. Now there's well over 400, and it's by far and away the most successful option choice at Key Stage 4. And I'll tell you a little bit about why that is, and why we hope that your son or daughter would consider choosing business studies, because we think it would be a good move for them. So what they cover, the students, in the first year then. So in Unit 1, we actually go out on 2 trips. We go to Cave Castle Hotel, which is actually the students' prom venue, and we go out to another local business called Blondes, which is a coffee shop based in Cottingham, which is fully vegan. And these businesses actually allow us in, they talk to us, they give us tours, and they tell us insights about their business. And it was really, really interesting, especially the business over in Cottingham, Blondes. It was the first vegan coffee shop in the whole of Yorkshire. And now people might say, big deal, there's vegan sausage rolls from Greggs, but they were in there first. So they've actually got contracts with Holland & Barrett, Morrison's and Tesco's are both fighting over some of their products because they've developed a vegan cream egg. They've been on Good Morning Britain, Piers Morgan's tasted their products live on telly. So from being a tiny little coffee shop, potentially this business is really going places with massive multi-million-pound companies trying to fight to sell their products. So it's so interesting, and the kids absolutely love it. And they also like the fact they get free food when they go on the trip as well. So that makes Year 9 a really fun experience, because the students are linking their work to 2 real-life businesses, so it really brings it to life, and it's really enjoyable. In terms of Unit 2 then, when they go on to that, it's all about the skills for students to be entrepreneurs themselves. Students will come up with their own business ideas, and this whole unit is aimed at getting students ready for when they leave school or leave university to actually be in a position to run their own businesses, or if they're working for somebody else, to have a real insight of what it means to be successful in the world of business. The examined unit on this course will involve a finance and promotion exam, so students have to learn about how the importance of these 2 areas in businesses being successful. So that's the course, I suppose, summarised briefly, but business also teaches life skills. So we cover interview technique and how to be successful when applying for jobs. And I've seen it many a time where some really high qualified people come for interviews here, but they're just not good at the interview, and it ends up costing them the job. So we make sure business students have those skills as well, because sometimes it's even more important than the bits of paper or the bits of information that's on your CV. And it's also the most popular degree subject in the UK. Sorry, my head's obscuring that part of the slide. And it's people that do business are often in the top 5 for future income from their employment. And on the next slide, I'll just tell you a little bit more information about the positives of choosing business. So there is no subject that is more successful in this school than business studies. When compared to our other similar business departments, we are in the top 1%, and we have been for the last 5 years. We are the most popular option choice. Why does that matter for you? Well, actually, because we have 6 or 7 groups and there's only 4 option blocks, you're guaranteed to get into one of our option blocks. And if you pick subjects that are less popular, you can just move around to whichever business option block suits the timetable, which allows you a greater chance of getting those subjects where maybe there's only 1 group running. So it does help students get the combination of subjects that they like. We run really interesting trips in years 9, 10 and 11. I've talked about the Year 9 trips. In Year 10 we take students to Alton Towers for a business trip, and in Year 11 we take them to Sheffield Hallam University, because we want our students to be exposed to what university life is like. So they get a campus tour, they get some more information about different business routes they can study at university, and then on the way back we stop off at Meadowhall to give them some retail experience, shall we say, and that's just on the week running up to Christmas, so students enjoy that trip immensely. I mentioned we've got an experienced teaching team. Mr. Roberts and myself would not be going anywhere in the near future. We are committed to making sure that students do well here at Business Studies, and we hope that students choose to join our classes. It's 60% coursework, which is brilliant. Not every subject has coursework in this day and age, so we're really good at this. We get through it nice and quickly. Students have that safety net to know, I've got full marks in my coursework, therefore I've only got to worry about the exam aspect now. The big bonus of that is we can choose when the exam sits. They can have 2 sittings of it, so what we do is in Year 10, in the Christmas time, students sit their exam. For 90% of our students, they don't need to resit. And what this means is the 10% that do, they get to resit in the summer of Year 10, and they get to pick their best result. But for all business students, you will be finished at the end of Year 10. So this opens a world of opportunities. So you can either do extra English, maths and science lessons, which some students decide to do, and that's absolutely fine. We support that because we are in an IT room and there's loads of online resources these days. Or what the vast majority of students do is they decide to do an extra GCSE with us. So if you choose business, you don't only get business, you also get an extra qualification. And in most recent years, we've done the personal finance qualification, and our pass rate for A or better was well over 75%. And again, our results are in the top 1% nationally. So we know what we are doing. We do a good job. I'm in charge of results for the school, so I'm happy when students pick business, because I know they'll not only get a good business grade, they'll also in all probability get another good GCSE grade as well. All right, so that's what we offer in business studies. We hope that you will consider it, that your sons or daughters will consider choosing the taster session so they can have a little look. And if you need any more information, please speak to Mr. North, which is me, or Mr. Roberts. And if you've got any more questions, please get in touch. So I hope you enjoyed the options presentation. I hope you found it useful. and good luck with your option choices.